Class now regarding the preference share. We were on the preference share, that is one part of the owners fund long term finance. There the preference share are having two right over the equity share, that is payment of dividend. So when the case of dividend, first of all dividend is to be paid to preference share, then to equity share, and then repayment of investment amount during winding up. When the business is to be wind up or company is to be shut down, then payment first of all given to the preference share. Now feature of preference share, so there is a fixed rate of dividend which has to be given to the preference shareholder, and that rate is given over there like this. Like preference share is given 10%, preference share is given over there, that represents the dividend. So whatever the amount of preference share, suppose it is of 1 lakh, then 10% you have to calculate 10% of 1 lakh, that is 10,000, that is to be paid to the preference share as a dividend as a fixed rate. But preference share is also of many types, and the dividend is given as per the type of the preference share. Now no security. Companies do not offer any security against the preference share, but company has to give the security in the case of borrowed fund. But in the case of owners fund, no need to give any security for preference share. Voting right, the preference share do not get any voting right, but they are having right if they are not getting the dividend for more than 2 years or above. Hybrid security, preference shares are hybrid security. Why it is hybrid security? Because these shares have the features of equity share as well as the debenture also. So debenture is a borrowed fund, equity share is the owners fund. So they are having the feature of both the thing, both over there. So that is why, that is the equity and preference, both the feature they are having. So that is why they get dividend only when the company is earning profit, and like debenture, but preference share is getting their fixed rate of return as debenture, and they can even participate in the leftover as equity share are participating. So in this way the preference share is having features of both the equity shares and debenture. That is why it is known as hybrid security. Now the merits of preference share, it helps to collect large amount of funds. So if any the preference share is issued, then definitely when the company is trustworthy, people like that company, then they are to invest in the company for purchasing preference share and giving money to the company. Preference share attract more people because they are having they are less risky than equity share. No fixed liability. So as in the case of dividend to preference shareholder is paid only when the company is earning profit, but during the loss period it is not a fixed liability to pay off dividend always, like as it is given on the loan and borrowings. No interference. Preference shareholder do not interfere until unless they are getting their dividend from the last 2 years they are getting, then they will not interfere. Otherwise they are having some right to control if they are not getting their dividend from for 2 years or more. Now in the case of preference share, no charge on asset. Preference share are not issued against any security, so there is no charge on asset for the preference share. That is the advantage from the point of view of the company and other shareholders. Variety, definitely in preference share you are having lots of variety. Like I told you that there are many types of preference share which are to be issued by the company, and so that is from the point of view of preference shareholder. This is a merit for preference shareholder. Trading on equity. So trading on equity means that there is a rate of dividend for preference share is fixed. So they are getting their rate of dividend, and whatever leftover is there, suppose there is a prosperity profit for the company, so leftover amount will be more, and that will be for the equity shareholder, and they will get high rate of earning. That is trading on equity. So with the presence of a preference share in the capital structure, they are having high rate of earning when there is a company is enjoying prosperity or high profit. Now disadvantages of preference share, fluctuating and low return. So definitely there is a fluctuating and low return in this case, because the preference shareholder get return only when the company is earning profit. So return on preference share is generally very low and very lesser than the amount of borrowed fund, and the preference shareholder do not attract many investors in the case as there is a no assured return, because when the company is earning profit, even then preference shareholder will get the return. Otherwise they are to wait for, suppose they are not getting the dividend for last 2 years, then they can ask for the dividend, but even then they have to ask the dividend, but the condition must be that company must be earning profit. In that case dividend is not treated as an expense. Here the dividend given to the preference shareholder, that is not treated as an expense. It is included from the income of the company before calculating income tax, and the company pays income tax on the income which is distributed to preference shareholder. Likewise, I can show this example that if the company is earning 2 lakh and then they are to pay back the dividend out of this 2 lakh, suppose 10,000, then what is left 1,90,000, that is the company is earning after dividend, but company has to pay tax on this 2 lakh. Suppose 10% of tax is there, so company has to pay for 20,000 on this, that is a 10% on 2 lakh, that is a 20,000 company has to pay back to pay the tax to the government. So company cannot deduct the dividend from its earning for calculating the tax. So this is the point which is the negative for the company, that dividend is not treated as an expense for the company. As I told you that there is no voting right for the preference shareholder until unless they are not getting their dividend in spite of companies earning profit. So they are not having the right to vote in the company for interfering the management of the company. And these shareholders get voting right only on any resolution regarding winding of the company or repayment or reduction of the share capital. Like major decision if it has been taken by the company, like reduction of capital or winding of the company, even only in that case with the resolution they can go for voting. Now fixed obligation, the rate of dividend paid to preference shareholder is fixed definitely. During the time of the low profit also company has to pay fixed rate of dividend, but not in the case of loss, but in the case of low profit also company cannot take another decision and company has to distribute the dividend to the preference shareholder. Employee stock option. This is the employee stock option scheme that is given to these shareholder also. That is given to director, officer, employees of the company who are having preference share. They are having holding of the company. Like a subsidiary company also, they are all having the right. Basically, what is the right? The benefit or right to purchase or to subscribe for the share of the company at any future date at predetermined price. So here the keywords are future date and predetermined price. So that is the option, employee stock option, that is given to preference shareholder also in that case. But this right is specifically for these type of people, like these designation, director, officer and employees, or you can say the holding companies, subsidiary companies, employees, they are having the same right. So they are having the right to purchase shares at predetermined price at future date they can purchase. And this basically employee stock option scheme is basically related to the equity shareholder, not to the preference shareholder generally. Now difference between equity and preference shareholder. So equity shareholder, definitely the face value of equity shareholder is generally low than preference shareholder. Here the face value is generally high. Face value is what, like what the company is offering equity share at which price, like one share is of which value, that is the face value of equity share. Like one share is of 10 rupees, so this is the face value of equity share, which is low than equity. Preference share, this is the face value, you can say. This is the price offered by the company to public for purchasing the share. One share, you can say. Dividend, the dividend is paid to the equity shareholder after paying dividend to all shares. Definitely this is the last, they are the primary risk bearer. Now the preference shareholder are getting the dividend before the equity shareholder. Voting right, definitely equity share are having the voting right in all the cases, but the preference shareholder, they are not getting the voting right under normal circumstances. They get the voting right when there is a case of the dividend or shutting down of the company or reduction of capital. Attraction, the equity shareholder, they are bold and definitely adventurous investor because they are taking the risk, and the preference shareholder, basically preference share attract basically a conservative investor who don't want to take much risk. So here the risk, they are the primary risk bearer and they are not the primary risk bearer. The risk involved in the preference shareholder but relatively less than equity shareholder. At the time of winding of the company, equity shareholder are getting a refund only after preference shareholder, and they are getting the refund before equity shareholder. Now redemption, the equity shareholder never redeem. You can sell out the equity shareholder in the stock exchange market, and for the whole lifetime the money is with the company. Shareholder cannot ask for the company to pay back. Then but in the case of preference shareholder, they may be redeemed, or so there may be some fixed period that has been written on the preference shareholder certificate, and then they are to pay back the company has to pay back the amount to preference shareholder in this case. Now the retained earnings, definitely retained earning means accumulated profit. They are reserve and surplus, you can say general reserve also. So they are the undistributed profit. If the profit is not distributed to any of the equity or preference shareholder, that is with the company. And definitely these amount is on the which side of the balance sheet, that is on the liability side of the balance sheet. The features of retained earning, that is a cushion of security. Definitely you are having some security if you are having your earning, you are having your saving, like in the case. So in the same way the company is having the retained earning, and it is the cushion of security for them, so that that can be supportive in the case of emergency or in the case of any losses or in case of problem with the company regarding finance. Now the fund for new and innovative project, when the company is going for new and innovative project, in that case the project is risky, then it is better to go for the retained earning, because there is no loss in if the retained earning get lost then with the project. So that should not be done. There should not be too much, you can say, experimented with this retained earning, but that amount can be funded from the retained earning, and that is quite less risky. Medium and long term finance can be done with retained earning, definitely. because retained earning is with the company for the whole lifetime. Conversion into ownership fund. So that retained earning can also convert it into ownership fund. Like suppose the company has given the shares, one share to suppose one shareholder, but then company want to issue if some bonus shares giving some benefit to the shareholder, then company can issue bonus share. In the case of bonus share, no need to give money from the shareholder side to the company. Company issue the bonus share to the shareholder, and where the money is financed, that money is financed by the retained earnings. So money is transferred from the retained earning to the share capital, and no need for the shareholder to finance for the, you have to give money for the bonus share. Bonus share, you can say, that is free of cost for the shareholder, and where the money comes, that comes from the retained earning, which is having the surplus, you can say the surplus profit with the company. Now advantages of retained earning: most dependable source, that is the most dependable source for the company. This is the comparatively borrowed fund, or like you can say some other way of loan. So that is the most dependable source, and secured also. No cost. If you are using retained earning, that there is a no cost for this, as you are using you are going for the finance for the equity share, then you are to do some expenses like prospectus or advertisement or some other. If you are going for the bank loan, then even then you are to do some expenses for that also. But in the case of retained earning, no cost is there, no need to spend any money for that. No fixed liability, definitely no need to pay back this amount to anyone. So that is a no fixed liability in this case. No interference, definitely in the case of retained earning, because that is not the borrowed fund, so you are not getting the money from anywhere, so they will not interfere. Nobody is there to interfere in the matters. No security, definitely like debenture holder, if debentures has been issued, then definitely the company has to mortgage his asset. But in the case of retained earning, no need to mortgage any of the asset to anyone. Goodwill, retained earning definitely add up the goodwill, strength, credibility for the company, and large reserve. That means company is having large fund for you can say large fund for unforeseen contingencies. Mean whatever crisis, contingencies, problems can be faced by the company in the case of finance, then retained earning help that in such way. A disadvantage of retained profit is careless use. Definitely, if there are lots of retained earning with the company do the careless use. Many times directors become experiment with the, they try to go for experiment because they are having retained earnings, so they can try the new project, risky project also. So that is a careless use. Dissatisfaction among shareholders. Shareholders are basically dissatisfied. They want that this much retained earning that the company is having, they must be distributed among shareholders. But that the company wants, if the director want to do some experiment, they want to expand the company with that retained earning. So there is a dissatisfaction among the shareholder regarding the use of retained earnings. Overcapitalization can be done. I told you that the bonus share can be issued through the retained earning. So amount transferred to the share capital from the retained earning, and bonus share is to be issued to the shareholder free of cost. So there can be overcapitalization. In that case, the capital will increase unnecessary because the no money has been given by the shareholder to the company. The money has been transferred or financed by the company itself, and then free of cost bonus share has been issued to the shareholder, and it only increase the capital of the company. In imbalanced growth. So when imbalanced growth, basically that is very long term thought there is, because the surplus profit that is not distributed, and that surplus profit retained earning that is to be invested by the company for some higher project, higher risky project, and there if the company earned higher profit, then that higher profit has been distributed to the shareholder in the form of dividend, and then shareholder can invest into another company because they are not satisfied with that. So there can be balanced growth for all the other companies because money invested by the shareholder of the same company to their company. Now borrowed fund is there. Borrowed fund, basically there the first of the point is trade credit. That is a short term finance. You are not in the case of trade credit, the material has been, or the goods have been purchased on credit and nothing has been paid for that. So that is a trade credit basically. In the case of trade credit, that is the arrangement basically between the supplier and their manufacturer. What is the agreement? That the manufacturer is supplying the product or the goods to the supplier, and the supplier is not paying for that. So supplier is getting the product from manufacturer and then supply it to next retailer or to the final consumer. And when the payment has been collected by the supplier from the retailer or the consumer, then the payment has been done by the supplier to manufacturer. So this is a type of trade credit. That is very normal. Definitely only the final consumer who is paying back the amount in cash, otherwise all the purchaser, they are doing the trade credit here. So there can be basically the availability of trade credit depends upon the nature of the firm. What is the nature of firm, like that is sole proprietor, partnership, company or whatever. Then the size of the firm, what is the turnover of the sale of the firm, status and the credit worthiness of the firm, like how many loan the firm has been taken or how many retained earning the firm is having. So that is the credit worthiness, or you can say, of the firm. Now the merits of trade credit, basically the amount is readily available because no need to take amount from anyone, just they are to purchase the goods on credit, so that is readily available. Flexible, there is no rigid rules regulation regarding trade credit. It can be easily adjusted with the changing need of the purchase or terms of payment or dealing. If they are having a supplier and manufacturer are having good relation, in that case no flotation cost is there. Flotation cost is the that is the cost. Now what is the flotation cost? That is the cost which is done when some money has been raised by selling of some security. So there is no flotation cost, like supplier and manufacturer are having the agreement, and then supplier is getting the amount, supplier is getting the goods on credit from the manufacturer, and then for selling it out in the market. When the goods has been sold out, then what happened that in this case, when goods have been sold out in the market, then supplier will pay off the amount to manufacturer as per the agreed condition. So limitation of trade credit is that increase in price. Definitely when manufacturer is there with the goods and that is granting credit to the next seller, then what happened that suppose A is the manufacturer over there and he is supplying goods to the B, then what happened that A will increase the price because A is giving credit to B. So in this case the price has been increased because goods have been sold totally on credit. Legal action in the case of trade credit, if there is a failure, if the amount is not paid off, so in this case, as per the commitment, that the person who has given the, or you can say manufacturer who has given the goods to the next supplier, that can also take legal action against the company if it is not paying off the amount. Now the next thing is public deposit. That public deposit again is a borrowed fund. It's a medium term finance even, and that trade credit was a short term finance. So you have to learn this. This is a short term finance. You have to mark it up. So now the public deposit, that is a medium term finance. So public deposit refers to they are basically unsecured. Unsecured means nothing has been mortgaged for that. If the company wishes to invite public deposit, then it just go for advertisement in the newspaper, and any member of the public can fill up the prescribed form and deposit money with the company, and there is no mortgage of asset in this case. So what is the feature? That is unsecured. Unsecured means no company is not mortgaging any asset for public deposit or raising from general public. And then finance of working capital. So it is basically the finance of working capital. Working capital means day-to-day activities, day-to-day expenditure. The amount raised from the public deposit, that is generally used by the company for meeting the requirement of the working capital. Means day-to-day activity or day-to-day expenses of the company that can be done with this public deposit money. And they are basically the prime source of short-term finance, and they can be renewed also for medium-term finance. Suppose the earlier the public deposit has been issued for some months, and then that can be renewed for year also. So time period is there that public deposit can be invited by the company for the period of 6 months and then up to 3 years. So up to 3 years you can say it is medium-term finance. For 3 years, if it is for 6 months, that is a short-term finance. It's very simple procedure to raise it. Company has to, as I told you, company is going for some advertisement, then advertisement is there. If anybody wants to deposit the money with the company, it's so much trustworthy, then they can put up their fund with the company, and company has to pay the interest on this public deposit. Now repayment, company which has a public deposit, as there is some necessity for that, they are to set aside 10% of the deposit maturing by the end of the year. So whatever amount has been matured at the end of the year, suppose at the end of the year the company has to pay off 1 lakh rupees for the public deposit, then they are to set off 10% of the deposit which is to be matured. Like suppose it is of 1 lakh, company has to pay after 1 year, then 10%, that is of 1 lakh is 10,000. 10,000 has to be set aside out of the profit. That is the necessity as per the act. The amount so as set aside can be used for repaying the public deposit also. Now what is the merits? Simple procedure. There is, as I told you, is very simple procedure. Just go for the advertisement, then just if people are interested, they can purchase a public deposit. It's very economical. No flotation cost is there. No need to issue any prospectus, underwriting commission. Nothing has been introduced in that. So simply the advertisement is there, if people are interested, they just fill up the form and put their money with the company. No security, so it's very safe for the company, no need to mortgage any asset for the public deposit. Reduction in tax liability, why? Because if the interest paid on the public deposit, definitely that has to be deducted from the company's earning for calculation of tax. Like 1 lakh is the company earning and this is the interest on public deposit. So this is the earning after interest on public deposit. So income tax has to be calculated on this amount, 80,000. Suppose that is the tax is of 10%, then 8,000 tax has to be paid from the company's earning. So interest income tax let the interest to be deducted from the company's earning for calculation of tax, but it is not happen in the case of dividend. Flexibility is there, definitely. Public deposit can be repaid, they can be renewed, and even so there is a flexibility as per the financial structure of the company. Now, no delusion of control. Public deposit holder, they are not having any voting right, and not in any case they can influence the decision of the company. They cannot vote. They cannot have voting right in any case. That is why no delusion of control in this case. Now, demerits. So what are the demerits? Limited amount. You can have the limited amount from the public deposit, not the very big amount. You can have that. So public deposit cannot exceed the 25% of the share capital and free reserve. So you can have only 25% of the share capital and free reserve. Suppose company is having share capital of 1 lakh and free reserve 50,000. Now the total is having 1,50,000. Company can only have public deposit up to the amount of 25% of the share capital and free reserve. That is 25% of 1,50,000 is 37,500. This amount can be raised in the form of public deposit only. Public deposit is uncertain, unreliable, because it is the case of public deposit, and during the especially depression period, people are not interested to respond much. They don't want to invest in a very risky project. Like they cannot have any mortgage asset. So they are if the financial position of the company is stable, very good, even only in this case public deposit can be successful idea. Public deposit can be suitable for short term finance, as I told you that is for 6 months to 3 years. So maturity period is also there. Public deposit is between 3 months, that is 6 months to 3 years. Then that is a hindrance to growth of the capital market also. So what about that? Public deposit, basically it hampers the growth of capital market. Capital market involves shares and all. So that is why public deposit will be successful idea. Then the growth of capital market will be you can say that can be stopped, or that cannot be expanded that much. Not suitable for new concern. So when the company is new, then it is not that much trustworthy. It is the first time for the company, or you can say it is the new concern. Now the concern has to make the faith among the public. So it is not suitable for the new concern to issue public deposit. They might not have money out of public deposit because it is a new concern. That concern is not trustworthy for the people as it is new. Suitable for conservative investor only. So only the conservative suitable for conservative investor means here, as in the case of public deposit, the interest has to be paid by the company, and so that is only the money is only invested by the people who are not that much adventurous or want to bear the risk. It is the equity shareholder who is the primary risk bearer, and they are considered as the more you can say they can say more bold and brave in the case of finance. But if they are the people who are investing in public deposit, they are not considered as much bold or taking a risk, because they will get back their money when the company shut down, and they will get back their interest on time. So that is why it's a conservative investor only who invests for public deposit.